Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Bill. If you're not, thanks for checking in with us again today. So basically today what I'm going to do is we're just going to pick up right where we left off with the white car as of last weekend. I was over at my buddy Josh's house yesterday and the memory card actually got full and I switched it over, and like a dummy I forgot it at his house. Unfortunately I won't have any super content to give you guys today. I did get home at like 3 o'clock in the morning, so I slept in a little bit. So I mean it's probably like 2 o'clock in the afternoon already, I think. So the sun's out. It's actually kind of a nice day. It's a little chilly in the garage because there's cold air in there, obviously, because the doors haven't been open, but I am wearing basketball shorts. I mean, it's a pretty nice day out today. So we're just gonna do a video with the white car here, cutting up the lexan for the back windows. I got it all laid out with an interesting combination of various things just so I can try and keep it from bowing while I got it on the stand. So here's the harness I was talking about, guys. And what I'm gonna do is we're gonna do a little kind of something a little bit different than what I've done on the previous harnesses. I'm actually going to use existing circuits that I'm not using, so like O2 sensor, AC control stuff, things like that go through C101 here. I'm going to use these circuits to reference cam signal, throttle position, and the ASD in and out for the two-step and watt box, so it won't look like there's anything aftermarket wired into the harness. And I'll have that watt box in there and it'll actually come out pretty clean. I've already removed the power steering circuits from the underhood harness. These are the AC compressor and pressure switch circuits, so those are already removed. Somebody had added these in for a watt box connection. I mean, it's kind of convenient, but I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna get rid of these. I'm gonna rewrap these wires here so I can protect them again. So I gotta make sure that I label these when I get this done. That way the leads that I have that are already done on the fuse box harness will be ready to go, and I can just label those with whatever circuits come through. That way when I'm ready to hook the watt box up, I can just go ahead, tie that in. And I'm gonna actually use a 6-pin inline connector from Amazon that I'm gonna add terminals to, so the leads that are in the harness that goes through the firewall and behind the dash will be able to just plug right into the watt box. So if I ever decided I wanted to remove it, just unplug it, pull it out, and then it'll have a lead that if somebody else wanted to ever put one back in it, then they could just buy another connector and use those leads. But it will be available to do that later on. I don't foresee myself ever selling the car, but just in case, you know, it'll be easy to remove stuff when I'm done. But I got all these laid out. Previous owner had done a good number on an injector connector here, and it was kind of interesting because what they did was they had butt connectors here, and then they had another couple with like an inch of wire before it went into the connector itself. I don't know what they used to wrap the harness when they took this apart, but it left quite a mess. I mean, this thing is absolutely just filthy with all this stuff. So I don't know what I'm gonna try and do about it. I might try to just take like soapy water and then kind of just wipe the harness down, see what kind of junk I can get rid of. I know right here it's kind of oily, so I don't know what the hell's going on there. I mean, that's not engine oil. I don't know what it is. It's pretty thick stuff. So I'm gonna get this cleaned up as best as I can. I got some new pigtails. I'm just gonna make one connection that I'll solder and shrink wrap for the injector connector for number 1 there. And then, like I said, I've already got the wires removed that we're not gonna use. So I'm just gonna depin all the connectors. We're gonna wrap the harness just like the other one. The other harnesses that I've done, and then we're gonna go ahead and get this guy ready to go back on the car. We're making progress with the stripe car here slowly on the side while we're waiting on parts and availability for customers to get their cars up here so we can get these projects knocked out and out of my way. So that's where we're at with this one. So we're gonna go outside and get going. So anyway, yeah, so that's where we're at with the engine harness on that car. So like I said, we're outside here today. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna get this lexan cut up, try and get these back windows made, and then I got my YouTube playlist queued up here on the phone. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna set the camera up on the trunk here. I'm gonna grab my template here out of the door. We're gonna go ahead and get that traced out. We're gonna get that cut up. But what I'm gonna actually have to do with mine is, because I don't know if you'll be able to see it here, because there's a little bit of room side to side. It's got a little bit of slot to it, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna trace the line kind of on an angle so it gives me a little bit of room there, and then I'm gonna cut on the outside. And I'm gonna see if I can get it to push the track back far enough to seal here. That way I don't have to worry about trying to make sure that the glass has to do anything else to hold the track in. And that will also help, because I know I mentioned last week that I might have to do brackets from here to here for the run channel. If I don't cut that plexiglass or that lexan wide enough, then I might have to do that anyway and then fix the glass up to the door. But I'm gonna try and get it so all I need is the door. That way I don't have to have this extra weight. I can cut that out. I mean, it might not be much, but by the time I get both doors cut out with a little bracket and the bolts and everything, that might be a pound. And that's enough for me to try and get away with doing this. So we'll see what we can do here. I did notice that when I did the video with the airbag delete on the white or the black car, that the sun didn't phase the camera out too bad. It actually gave a pretty good picture. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna set it up, and we're just gonna ride with it again today, and hopefully it does the same thing. So yeah, hopefully my legs aren't too white and you see it and it just kind of washes the camera out. I haven't been outside, and I've been wearing pants, and I work in an office now, and I really don't get a chance to get outside a lot, especially being in Michigan here. We've been inside for months. So I mean, I'm kind of pale. I got to get a color back into me. So hopefully we get back out to the racetrack and everything this year, and we'll start putting the color back on. But yeah, so we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna get going on this one. Well, let's see how it fits. It isn't perfect. It does have some wonky edges, but hopefully the window trim will hide all of that. So we'll see how it fits here. I did use a razor blade to kind of, so I'll show you guys what I did with that, actually. Find it. So what I was doing was I took a razor blade, turn the light on here so you can see. I took a razor blade and I just held it straight on, and I kind of went over the edges to pull all the burrs and extra plastic off that's on there from when you cut it. Kind of clean the edge up, that way you're not working with a bunch of stuff that'll just make a mess. So it kind of helps along with that. So let's see if this fits. Back in. Might have to cut it down a little bit, but we'll see. Oh, it fits. I'll just have to clean up that edge. Oh man, it's in. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna clean this bottom edge up here. Actually, wow, that's pretty good actually. You can't see anything. Oh, I'm happy with that. First time cutting one of these guys, and that sucker came out perfect. Awesome. Well, all I'm gonna do with this one is, like I said, I'm gonna draw my line here, and then I'll see if that one fits in the other door. And once I draw my template line, I'm gonna go ahead and I'll just use this one as a template for the other one. We'll get that one cut, but I'm gonna double check, make sure that this one fits that door, make sure that I'm not losing my mind or anything on this one, but it should be the exact same thing. I mean, it's plexiglass, so the only difference is gonna be the bow. So, I mean, obviously you can't just take glass out of this door and shove it in that door, but this should be able to. So we're gonna find out here in a second. Cool. Man, I can't believe that came out perfect the first time. That's actually kind of exciting. Well, not perfect, like I said, it's got some questionable edges, but it fit perfect the way it is. I can still clean it up. So yeah, so let's try this door quick. Just make sure that we're not losing our minds. That's awesome. Cool. More square. So we're gonna draw our line. We'll clean this guy up a little bit here. lost my shit there. I thought it was gonna pop out at me. I don't know why. But let's check that one out. That's really shitty. There we go. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut just to the bottom of this straight line. That way I got a little touch that hangs underneath, and then when I bolt it in, it'll kind of pull it up to the door like this. I might even use the existing holes if I can get some washers that are big enough to fill that hole with the bolt, but if not, I'll probably do 2 here, 2 here, and 2 here. I'll do 6 bolts, maybe 7. I might do 1 on the ends too, just to kind of pull the corner in a little bit. I don't want to do too much because the run channel, it's going to leave about a gap about this much at the bottom of the door. I'll show you guys that once I get it bolted in. I'm not going to be able to get around that unless I decide I want to get some foam or fill it with silicone or something, but I don't think I'm going to be too worried about that. It's in there. It sits in the channel. The channel's actually held in really good. So like I said, we're just going to drop a line on this one too. I'll lock this son of a bitch right off. Cut it. These are a dime a dozen anyway. They're just regular neon. They're not anything special. Not SRT only or anything like that. So if I ever went back, I mean, I'd need a whole new door anyway. So I have complete doors. So that's no problem. I got all the parts I need. So we're gonna go ahead and get the other one traced, get it cut, and I'm gonna cut this off first, and then I'll trace the other. We'll get the other piece cut. I'll cut these guys off, and then we're gonna go ahead, get the holes drilled for the lexan here. We'll get her mounted, and then once that's all done and ready to go, then I'll probably end up pulling the plastic back out, and then I'm gonna drop them off to. Hopefully they can be tinted. If they can, I'm going to drop them off to Brent Monville at Top Notch in Essexville. I think Essexville or Bay City. I can't remember where the address of the shop is. But we're going to drop these off at his house or his shop and get them done in just black, just limo black. I mean, they don't need anybody to see in them, don't need anybody to see out. We're going to go ahead and get those done. I'll get my stickers put back on the windows here. And this is awesome. I can't believe this actually came out the first time. I'm really happy with it. So I didn't make it too big. I didn't make it too small. I'm glad I made the decision that I did to try and make the line thick and then cut on the outside of the line when I did, because that gave me the perfect amount of extra material. Didn't have to waste anything. So, like I said, we're going to clean that piece up that I got here, get the other one drawn up, get that one cut out, get these guys mounted for the final time. Well, not the final time, but final test time before they get colored in black. So we're going to turn that playhouse back up and we're going to get back after it. Perfect. That's awesome. Hell yeah. Alright. So here's that gap I was telling you guys that we were going to expect. Because I'm going to end up bolting the plexi or the lexan to that lip, I'm not going to be able to put one of these channels back in. So I mean, if you were really worried about it, I'm just going to clean all this stuff up. But if you're really worried about it, you could silicone this, I guess. And once it's all in, you could add some silicone or whatever. And then, or caulk, I guess, if you like window caulk or something. And then you could paint it all black when it was done. I guess it would clean it up if you taped it up and did it kind of nice. But I'm just going to clean it up and I'm going to run with it. I'm not worried about the gaps. Oh man, I don't really matter. Yeah. So, I got my vice grips in here holding it, obviously. Oop. That's awesome. At least that door was unlocked. Oh, wrong one. But anyway, yeah, so I got my vice grips. Obviously you see me put those up right before I pick the camera up here, but I got those in. I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna get my holes knocked in here, and then I'm going to mount it, make sure we're okay, get this cut off. Once we're good, then I'll cut the other one. But I want to get one door done at least first, that way I know where everything's gonna be at. Really happy with it. Can't believe that came out that good the first time I cut it, and the only thing I had to do was just trim off the bottom edge here, but that's awesome. So we're gonna go ahead, get this baby knocked out of the park here. Also, I want to note in here while I'm doing this, I do have the passenger side. I will cut this in at the beginning of the video there, or earlier in the video. But if you're tightening this down or you're using bolts or rivets, you don't want to put too much stress against the plexiglass or the lexan or whatever you're using, because here, watch it flex. Okay, see how it pulls out? And then it puts a pretty good bow in it. when you tighten it. You don't want to go too tight. If you over tighten it, it will fracture and stress this, and then you got to start over, and it would suck to get this far and have to cut a new piece, especially if you only had enough to do what you got, which is the case for me. So if I would have messed one of these up, I'd have been SOL. I'd have had to go buy another sheet to just finish what I got here.
Check. The grills in my mouth double as a freeze. The grills in my mouth double as a freeze. The grills in my mouth double as a freeze. The grills in my mouth double as a
camera, unfortunately the batteries died right as I was finishing cutting off this side, so I just went ahead and I lopped this side off real quick, but I'm pretty happy with how it came out. I mean, that window actually is really strong. It's not barely, I mean, you really got to push on it to flex, and even then it's not even trying to retract out of the run channel. So this is actually pretty awesome that I don't have to take this off and have it look like a bunch of nuts, because there would be a huge gap between this seal and the glass if I did it that way, and I don't know if this seal would have turned in enough to do that. And I jumped online and I started looking at some road course racing guys that have done these before, and this is exactly how one person had done it. So I said, well, that actually looks like it's pretty good. So like I said, I just made sure that I left enough material to go way far into the channel all the way around, and then I mean, it's holding itself in. So we got it bolted on right here. I just used 6x1 bolts. See, the final hole is a 1/4 inch, was the size that I ended up using. I wish I could have used a smaller increment one, because I do have bits that have smaller sizes, but the steps on them don't, they're not deep enough where it would go through the plexiglass and make a really huge hole, but it would be perfect for the metal. So I used a longer one, and I mean, a 1/4 inch to an M6, I mean, it's really, really close. So it's close enough that we're not too worried about that. But yeah, so I got this one done. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna pull this glass out. I'm gonna get the glass cut for that side. And so I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna set the camera up, and we're gonna go ahead and pull this one apart and get tracing and cutting again. So. Guess we did it wrong. Leave it to the second one, huh? I probably did add a little bit, but we'll see. Take a little bit off of the back side. But other than that, it's coming pretty good.
Forces of darkness.
Back to the saw. Sweet. So, got the passenger side done. It does hang down a little bit. I left a little bit more because I did end up getting that side a little too short of one spot. So, I think I marked the wrong side, but we're still good here. The saw did get away from me a little bit. I could just kind of clean that up if I wanted to, but I don't know. I probably will when I pull it out, actually. I'll probably just finish that line, just make it a straight cut all the way over. So, that'll clean that part up, and then I might go ahead and I'll draw a line here and I'll get these traced over, but yeah, so we got the doors done. So now all I gotta do is I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna pull the glass back out, make it easier to cut this side off. So I'm gonna cut this side, cut that side, finish trimming this up, and then I'm going to get in contact with my tint guy and see if this is something he can do. And if he can, I'll drop it off this week. We'll get these babies done in limo black, and then we will get it put back on the car. And then I can park it outside. So I'm gonna go ahead, get this apart, get everything cleaned up here. Like I said, that's probably gonna be the end of the video here. So I will go ahead and we'll get this done and we'll bring you in for the closer. We got the windows all buttoned up. Everything's back out. I do have the doors apart again, so we're just gonna shut them. Like I said, hopefully get window tint on these guys. If not, we'll just wrap them with vinyl, and then I'll just punch the holes back through. We'll get them permanently mounted back in the car, and then I can get this guy backed out. We'll go ahead and get some other projects going on around here while we're waiting for parts. Unless parts do start showing up for this, then I mean it's gonna be full swing. I gotta get the Still waiting on my turbo kit, unfortunately. I'm not sure what the hang-up is there. As soon as I get that, though, I'm pulling the head off. We're gonna go ahead and get it ported, and then I'm gonna put that 2-liter camshaft in it. So we're still waiting on that stuff. I'm still waiting on those bell mounts to show up from the UK, unfortunately, from Ram Air. So as soon as those show up, then I can get the velocity stacks made for the headlights. But currently, all I can really do at this point is try to get at least some wiring ready on this car. That way, once the engine stand is free, I can go ahead and we'll start crunch timing on this one, getting this one together. This one, like I said, parts show up, things are gonna start happening. I have everything except for the bell mouth, which is a velocity stack, is what the other company calls it, and the turbo kit. So as soon as those get here, this is gonna happen. This car is gonna come apart, it's gonna go back together. It won't take me long. I'd like to say less than a week to try and do all this. And this is after work or on free time that I have throughout the week after my work hours. So hopefully this will start happening here pretty quick. But like I said, I can still make slow progress with this one until I get my engine stand back here. That's really gonna be the big swing for that. So I do have the fuel tank that I took out of this car. It's still full of ethanol. I gotta drain the fuel out, and then I can go ahead and I'll stuff it back in this one. It does have the kicker living loud. I don't know if I showed you guys this in the other video, so that was kind of cool. But it does have the factory kicker option, so that it's got the full kicker 6x9s, kicker tweeters in the dash, kicker speakers in the front doors. It's got the 8-inch sub or 10-inch, I guess. I'm not sure what it is. It's not really loud, but it's enough that it's got a really good clean sound when you get some bassy music going on in there. So, like I said, as soon as I'll get this fuel tank in the car, once I drain the fuel, I'm gonna probably be working on the wiring with this one throughout the week until parts show up for the white one here. So I figured, you know, give you guys a quick rundown on the updates of what we got going on around here, doing the lexan, obviously, and then hopefully parts will start showing up and we can really get going with stuff. If this COVID shutdown thing starts going on for too much longer, what we're gonna end up doing is we're probably not even gonna end up registering the red car here to put it on the road. We're just gonna go ahead and I'll get a radio put in the rice van here for the wife. I mean, other than that, it's ready to go. Battery's inside, it's on the trickle charger, so whenever we get the green light or whenever we're ready to start driving again, she's probably gonna jump right in this car, and then we'll end up, like I said, we'll park that one. So I'll end up, I got a Pioneer radio that we're gonna put in this car. I think it's a double din, I can't remember. It might be a single din, but so I'm gonna do the radio. I'm gonna try and hook it up. I got the interface so we can still use the steering wheel controls and stuff with that. So hopefully that'll all work still. I also have a kicker sealed amplifier unit. I think it's a 10-inch kicker. And hold on, I got a neighbor driving by with a farm truck. Country life. Anyway, oh, sounds like there's another one behind him. Unless that's just the echo off the house in the garage. Nope, don't sound like it. But anyway, so yeah, so we're gonna start driving this one here before too long. So she's pretty excited to get back into the car. But yeah, so that's the update with what's going on with these two currently as far as parts go and availability with time. So we're gonna use what I got, try and get some wiring done with this car. The suspension has already been swapped over. There's really no adjustments I can make with it until we get an engine in it, get set back on the ground, let the springs settle, and then I can set ride height and everything else. But I can't really do anything with that until we're at that point. So all I can really do until the engine's ready to go back in the car is try and get some wiring ready. And then, I probably could start mounting the bottles and stuff in the trunk. Also, what I put in with the Lexan is probably lighter than what I cut out with these run channels here. So that's actually kind of big, so I'm not worried about the weight offset there. And those, I bet, almost weigh as much, just what I cut off, almost weighs as much as the Lexan and all the bolts that I got to put back in it. So I can't imagine that that's going to offset too much on weight. I'm not going to bother weighing that. I mean, we might be talking ounces at this point. So we'll see what the end result's going to be when we put it on the scales. I mean, the big stuff, you know, we can definitely, you know, add all that up. Like everything we did last week, it added up to like 60 pounds almost, I think it was, including the dash pad. So that's pretty big. That's enough to weigh, but I'm not going to broadcast a bunch of ounces and little things here and there that I've taken out of the car. I mean, there is quite a bit more that I could do. If I decided to do Lexan, I could cut the skins out of those doors. And I mean, if I took almost, we'll probably say about 26 pounds out of that door so far. If we added the weight of that door bar, now we're talking 35 pounds potentially. I could probably pull 40, maybe 42 pounds out of each front door. The glass is a lot bigger, so actually, I mean, that's just talking the metal and the bar is probably about 42 pounds by the time I get it all cut out. So by the time we did the regulator, the glass, I mean, we might be closer to 50 pounds per door by the time you add the weight difference of everything all up, because the front door is substantially longer than the rear door. hopefully this COVID thing doesn't last too much longer. It is starting to put a hold up on a lot of stuff. So unfortunately, I mean, it is what it is. We just got to do what we can with the times we got. That way we can get all these events open back up and we can start bringing you guys some actual fun content. That way all these other YouTube channels can actually light up, travel, and do all these other things that they do that they can't do right now because of all the shutdowns. So let's get through this. Let's move forward. I don't want a whole lot of other events and everything to be shut down. They've shut down races. They've shut down a lot of sports, a lot of concerts, a lot of cool things that we were looking forward to do this year. So I hope this stuff stops. That way I can actually try and get out and we'll get some other content to you guys other than this build stuff here. So I mean, there is stuff to do around here. It's just unfortunate that when I started the channel, it was a Michigan winter. It is a little breezy. Hopefully the cattail's working on the mic. But when we started the channel, it was a winter in Michigan, so there's really not a whole lot we can do. I mean, if I was snowmobiling or skiing or snowboarding or something like that, it'd be another story. But I mean, I don't really do that stuff a whole lot. We drag race. The channel around it is going to be focused more around cars. So that was the kind of content that we're going to keep here. So like I said, it's getting to the point, the weather's breaking. We're getting these cars together. Hopefully we can get out to the racetrack, get out to some car meets, do some fun trips, you know, go travel, see different things, and then we'll bring you guys that type of content. But we need the weather and the availability to do that. So with winter happening and now the coronavirus deal where everything is getting shut down and events are being canceled and everything's being pushed back, and it just sucks because I know there's a lot of big YouTube channels there, you know, guys that have millions of subscribers, and they're even struggling trying to get some content out and they're just filming random shit. So luckily enough, I have the opportunity. I do a lot of this stuff myself. Obviously, I pay a machine shop to do machine work because I don't have machine tools. But everything else, I mean, I put my engines together, I cut my own cars apart, I wire everything. I mean, everything that you see that's on my cars, if it's not paint work or machine work specifically, like boring or, you know, punching out a head or cutting some seats or anything like that, is done by myself. I have friends that come over and they give me a hand, and it helps. It's huge. So I mean, that's the kind of content that we bring. You know, this is all garage built, self-done. I do this. If you have the right tools, you can do it too stuff. I mean, there's a lot that you can learn. You just got to have the drive to want to learn it. And I mean, if you're in a position where you can afford to just pay somebody, that's awesome, because that really helps out guys like me, guys that take on side work. You know, or shops, local race shops, and everybody else. You know, if every person worked on their own car, there would be no race shops. I mean, there would be machine shops. There would be tuners, and that would be about it. There would be no shops helping people build cars or cool builds like that. So I mean, it is a gift and a curse at the same time to have people work on their own stuff, because that's that much more business that other shops or race shops or speed shops or whatever you guys feel like you want to call them, that's a lot of their revenue. So if you guys have the opportunity and you don't have the time, definitely help those guys out. Get your car to those shops. Help these guys stay afloat, because it's those guys that are spending money on our platforms to research and develop newer, faster, better, lighter parts. If they're not getting that kind of business, they have no capital to try and work with. So our platform will never get faster. So huge shout out to the guys that are taking their cars to guys like me or race shops to get that work done. That way we can keep investing money in the platform and push ourselves further and further. That's huge. So like I said, that's what I kind of do. I do everything myself. There are a lot of big YouTube channels out there. You know, I'm not going to mention any names, but they pay people to do their work, and that's awesome. You know, that's what keeps this industry afloat, is a mix of both sides. So it's a nice thing to have. I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna get cleaned up out here today, guys. I'm gonna go inside, get this video edited up, and get it online for you, so you can all see what we're doing, where we're at, and what the plans are currently. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, leave me a comment, like, any questions you guys might have on anything that you're seeing that we're doing, or like I said, if you have any advice to what I'm doing, things that might make it easier for me later on. I do appreciate the comment that I got on one of my videos about pulling the door bars. I was told that they were about 5 to 7 pounds, which is what I thought reading from the forum. So that's going to be a pretty good gain there when I get ready to do that. Definitely appreciate you guys checking in to hang out with me today while we work on white rice and with the updates with what we got going on around here. So you have yourself a good one, and we will see you at the track. Thanks.